Well, thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Do you know what, I came out here, I was expecting 4 people and a whippet. Oh, it's amazing. I bought my own urine sample as well, I hope you don't mind. And I've got to give a plug to Natur Cymru, Nature of Wales, a magazine that will tell you a lot about the wildlife of Wales. They're for sale, just a couple of quid, I can't remember how much, by the door on the way out. So if anybody wants one, it's a special one, packed full of birds, okay? So that's the plug over with. I can put that on one side, put my urine sample down here, and I'm going to talk to you about wonderful Welsh wildlife. And all of you, I'm sure, know that Wales is the best country in the world. Yeah, thank you very much. And for those of you who have any doubt, look in the Bible, Deuteronomy I think it is. There's a bit of a fracas there between God and the Archangel Gabriel. And the Archangel Gabriel says to God, God, what are you doing with these people you call the Welsh? You've given them these forests full of deer and wild boar for them to hunt and eat. You've given them rivers and lakes full of salmon and trout. You've given them seas full of fish. What are you doing? You're spoiling them. And God said, Gabriel, you wait till they find out who their neighbours are. It's in there, Deuteronomy, it's in there. Right. I tend to talk a lot, which is why I had a row, because I was late arriving, I was talking to people on the way. So I better push on. I'm going to give you like a fast tour. And the difficulty with this is working out what to leave out rather than what to put in. So I'm giving you a quick tour from mountain top down to the sea, and then a little dip below the waves as well. And I hope that at the end of it, you will all say that you're going to cancel your holiday to the Great Barrier Reef or to the Amazon rainforest, and next year you're going to go to Wales. Okay? Here we go. Right, we'll start with plants. A very special group called Arctic alpine plants. And these are plants that were left behind following the last ice age. We're talking about roughly 15,000 years ago. And really, they're plants that should be in the Arctic and in the Alps. And that means that they have a very specialised habitats. They're in the highest, the remotest, the coldest parts of the UK. And of all of them, and it's quite a big group, the one that is very special for us in Wales is this one. It's called the Snowdon lily. Those of you who are into Latin, Lloydia serratina. And it's found only in the mountains of northwest Wales, and they're only in about 5 different locations. I could tell you where they are, but I'd have to kill you all afterwards, so probably best if I don't. There's a whole group of them, saxifrages, and nearly all of them flower in end of April, May and June. But my favourite is this one. This is called purple saxifrage. And this one, if you like, is the skinhead of the plant world. This one is hard. You don't argue with this one. The others flower in May and June. This one doesn't. This one flowers late January, February and early March. At a time when you're up on Snowdon, it's cold, it's wet, it's miserable, it's grey, it's icy. You don't really want to be there. And all of a sudden you come across this bouquet of purple. That'll be this plant, the purple saxifrage. A lot of them now are very rare partly because of the habitat that they need, which is getting scarcer of course as the climate warms up, but rare as well because in Victorian times particularly they were taken by plant collectors. People used to come to these high mountains in northwest Wales specifically to look for these plants. Of course they used to take them back to Oxford, Cambridge, wherever, stick them in the back garden, they died. Of course they don't want to live there, they want to be in these remote and often north-facing cliffs as well, which doesn't get any sun at all. Those are the coldest parts of the UK, and that is where these plants thrive. Right, we move down a little bit now onto moorland areas and talk about a very special bird. It's my favourite bird. It's my favourite bird because I found my first nest in Wales in 1971. I was 80 years old. I know it's unbelievable, and most of you thought I hadn't been born by then, but I was 80 years old. This is the hen harrier. This is the male, stunning bird, one of our most beautiful birds of prey, a lovely light grey ghostly colour, and it looks like the wingtips have been dipped into black paint. And the female, and this They show extreme, what they call extreme sexual dimorphism. The males and females, very, very different. The female is a much bigger bird, a brown bird with a long tail and a bright white rump. And the Welsh name for it is Bod Tinwen, which means white-bummed buzzard. Great name, isn't it? Fantastic name. And of course, they've been in the news, and they've been in the news for good reason. They've been in the news because in England and parts of Scotland, they are heavily persecuted. They are shot, trapped, poisoned, and my own view about all this, it's absolutely disgusting that goes on in this day and age. That should have died out 100 years ago. In England last year, there were 4 pairs. In England last year, there were 4 pairs. The year before that, not a single successful pair. England should have more than 300 pairs. And it really is. We should all be ashamed of the fact that is going on. I'm not going to rant about it, otherwise I'll start attacking the government, whom I can't stand, and all politicians whom I can't stand either. But I'm not going to go on about it. Let me just take my medicine. Hold on. Right, and breathe. Okay, hen harriers in Wales. Now, in Wales, we're not doing so bad, because in 1912 they became extinct. Again, they were hunted to extinction. They came back in 1957. Numbers increased slowly to about 28, 29 pairs, and they stayed at that level. But over the last 15 odd years, they've doubled. And in Wales, we now have about 60 breeding pairs. So still, it's not common, not by any means. But Wales, we're doing pretty well. But of course, in winter, where do our birds go? A lot of them over to England. What happens there? They get shot by royalty. I'm on it. That's what I've heard. Black grouse is the next bird, and this, I worked for the RSPB for 15 years. Oddly enough, I didn't want to go into telly at all. It's worked out brilliantly, because I get paid to go all over the shop. But I worked for the RSPB for 15 years. My first job was to survey black grouse in Wales. Now, this is 1985, and at that time, we knew that they were fairly widespread in some areas, but confined mainly to mid and north Wales. So we went out at dawn to count leks. Leks is where these birds display. It's like a disco, only the other way around. You go to a disco, so it is in Wales, and we're a bit backward there, I know. But in Wales, the men don't dance. It's not the done thing for the men. You have a beer, you stand in the corner with your beer, and you eye up the women, and you talk to your mate, say, she's attractive, isn't she? She's lovely, yes, she's lovely. Are you going to dance with her? No, I'm going to have another pint first. That's how it works. But in these birds, it's different. It's the males that dance. They display, and they display to work out which is the alpha male, which is the dominant male, because he's the one that's going to mate with about 80% of all the grey hens going on to that lek. So the only way to count these birds is in April and May to get up before dawn to walk the moorland edges and look for these leks. And we found 264 displaying males. Since then, numbers declined quite markedly. Thankfully, Forestry Commission, Council for Wales, the RSPB and landowners have put in so much effort to get numbers back up that we now have more than 300 males in Wales. Unfortunately, they've gone from South Wales, much of Mid Wales, so they're confined to most of our main moorland blocks, the Berwins, the Denbigh moors, the Midnight moor as well. But in those areas at least, these birds are doing pretty well. And I think it's the only UK country where these birds are on the increase too. I know there's a lot of work going on now in north of England, Scotland too, and I hope they can reverse the trend up there as well. Now in Wales we've got almost 40 different species of dragonflies and damselflies. And my favourite, and in a way it's a Welsh speciality, it's quite a common one, is this one. It's called the golden ringed dragonfly. And I like these. I like them for a variety of reasons. I like them first of all because they like Wales. Wales is quite acidic on the whole, and they like acidic streams and ponds and pools. And what we see here is only one small part of the life cycle of this insect. It might spend 4 or 5 years as a nymph underwater. And then, May, June time, it'll emerge and we have the adults. I like them as well because they were at their height, really, 300 million years ago, during Carboniferous times. Those were the days when Wales and the UK were not far from the equator. It's very warm, very humid, very hot, swampy, and that's when these coal seams were put down. And we know from digging up coal that in those days, dragonflies were virtually identical to the ones we have now. Virtually identical, except for one thing. The wingspan was up to 1 meter across. Can you imagine that? You're going out for a walk, with your head chopped off by a huge dragonfly that then carries you off to eat you. Not very nice. 1 meter. Why? Well, there's a lot more oxygen in the environment then, but more than that, these were the tigers of their day. There were no mammals, there were no birds, reptiles, insects ruled the roost. And of all of them, these were the biggest predators, 1 meter across. That's huge, isn't it? That's fantastic. And wonderful insects too. Moving down now, we'll go into coniferous woodlands. I've got to speed up because I've got to get all this into 45 minutes. Coniferous woodlands, not everybody likes them, and I can understand why. Take an oak tree. A mature oak tree will have more than 750 different species of invertebrates growing on it. Sitka spruce, an introduced tree from North America, Canada, if you're lucky, about 12 to 15. So there's a big, big difference. But they do hold some very special wildlife. Now, honey buzzard, when I was a little lad, this is a male honey buzzard here, when I was a little lad, my Bible was British Birds of Prey by Leslie Brown. Anybody else got that? Fantastic book. Number 60 it is. It's a great little book. And in there it said honey buzzard, only found in the extreme south of England, New Forest, Dorset area. Because it likes warm weather, it likes deciduous woodland, mainly beach, sandy soils. What a load of rubbish. In 1991, we found our first pair in Wales in upland conifer plantations. Fantastic things. And yes, on the whole, they're called honey buzzard because they eat mainly wasp grubs. They find a wasp nest, dig it out, eat those grubs. But in Wales, where it's higher, it's a lot wetter, they eat a lot of frogs as well. That's how they make do. And all the literature would say, yes, they do breed in the UK, very, very rare. They don't do particularly well. They're lucky to rear 1 young per pair. Well, we found that most of our nests in Wales were rearing 2 young. They only lay 2 eggs. And most of those early pairs were rearing 2 young. So Wales is a good area. And now, of course, we know they're all over England. They're not common, but they're all over England. They're all over Scotland, right up to the far north. So it's far more widespread than people think. And a lot of the research on this bird worldwide has been done by a chap called Steve Roberts in Wales. He works on them every year, not just in Wales, all over England as well. And a lot of papers have been written by him and this small team. So a lot of what we know modern day about these birds comes from Wales.